All right. Good evening, Agnes and Judy. Thank you guys for joining us. Today we will be doing a continuation of Module 4. This is our second session for Module 4, and Sophia will be leading the class this evening as our facilitator. Thanks so much, Sophia. You can get started.
You're welcome. Hi, ladies. Welcome. Module 4, Session 2. I'm going to be going rapidly through the program because I want us to complete it in the 1 hour that we have, right? So I'm going to be asking you from time to time to read the slides that come up, but I will give you sort of a warning before the time. I will call your name out and you will then read the slide that appears on the screen next. Okay, so our topic for Module 4, Session 2 is the program planning and the literacy skills. All right, we go straight into our next slide, which is the session outcomes. What we hope to achieve by the end of this session is to have a basic understanding of long-term planning. We also want to understand how to use our weekly planning sheets and how to reflect on our own program and identify areas that need to be improved. So a lot of the times, especially in South African schools, you get a blueprint which you have to personalize according to your class. All right. So there's all, even though you do get a blueprint, you get the skeleton, it's up to you to put all the meat on that skeleton, to put the skin there, the decorations and all of those things, right? So that is basically what our session outcomes are going to be for tonight. Our next slide now, we speak about the principles of planning, which are things that you basically have to keep in the back of your head as you are doing your daily planning, your weekly planning, your termly planning, and even your annual plan, all right? So number one, we say that the planning should integrate children's culture, languages, and their genders. All right. So I'll give you a quick example of integrating children's culture. Every school and every area that you go to would be predominantly people from a certain religion, people from a certain cultural, people from a certain racial group. And each of these subdivisions, they have certain ways that they do certain things. So you cannot go and be teaching in a Roman Catholic school and you're teaching those children big on your theme. You've got their annual slaughtering done by the Muslim faith or whatever the case may be. You need to make it suit that Roman Catholic school that you are busy with. There's a time and a place to learn about other cultures, but you need to predominantly feature their children's culture, their language, the genders, and so on and so forth. All right. Secondly, we say that planning should be age appropriate. All right. You cannot be teaching 5 to 6 year old children that are in grade R, baby language stuff, or very little information like you would do in a 2 to 3 year old class. Thirdly, we say planning should be consider children's needs. So if by the end of the second or the third day, you're working on a theme and you are seeing that the children cannot relate to that. The children cannot understand what's happening there. You then maybe need to simplify it for them, or you need to cut off some of the content because it's too much information for them to take in, right? Fourthly, we say planning should promote inclusivity and should cater for children with special needs. Obviously, at the beginning of the year, when you come, you are given a class list and you are able to then engage with your children and see what their needs may be. Some children have physical special needs that you need to now adjust your class to so that the wheelchair or the crutches can come into there. And you have to have a version of the activity that you are doing that would be appropriate for the child. So if it's a child that's wheelchair based, for example, you are going to go and find out how they can do the morning exercises from their wheelchair as much as possibly as much as they are possibly capable of. All right. And then also lastly, we say that you should make use of all available resources and how these can be helpful in meeting organizational needs. So that is how this is going to be able to resources that you can use to put your school on the map. maybe you guys have a big orchard there of peach trees and plum trees, or whatever the case may be. You can teach children, and together with them, you guys can maybe decide you are going to be liquidizing some of it and you are going to sell the juice thereof, or you're going to be jamming some of it and putting it to cans and making syrups and creams and all of this type of stuff. And it can actually help the school raise funds and build and acquire the things that you need to put the school at the top of the map, basically. All right. So far, we've now covered our session's outcomes and the principles of planning. We go now to our next slide, which is the daily program. I will be reading that for you. And after the daily program, I'm going to ask Agnes to read for us the slide that comes up after this, which is the planning of the daily program. All right, Agnes, if you can just prepare yourself for that. All right. So with regards to the daily program, we say this is a daily schedule that consists of activities for children with time stamps. So it will always have a time on it, 9 o'clock till 9:15. 9:15 until 10 o'clock will be another activity. 10 till this time will be something else. There will always be timelines there to guide you. All right. We also say with regards to the daily programs, we do this so that the children have a sense of security and order. I like to call it predictability. Remember, children don't have concept of time, how many hours or how many minutes or how many this or that, whatever the case may be. So in the early childhood years, what we do is we develop a daily program that follows a certain telltale sign. Telltale signs. All right. So for example, children will be trained from the first time that they come to the Montessori or to the preschool or the kindergarten. They will be trained that the first thing we do in the morning when we get there is we hang our bags and then we sit on the carpet for morning ring. After morning ring, group A goes to the tables and group B go to the different corners, the building block corner, this corner, that corner, whatever the case may be. Then teacher rings a little bell. And that means that group A now goes to the corners, and the children from group B that were in the corners, they come now to the tables. We take turns. And then after we've had our turn of that two things, teacher rings a bell, and that is the bell that says that it is now break time. And after break time, we know we come in and we put on aprons, and then we do a lot of arty stuff or whatever the case may be. And after we do that, we go outside again and we do gross motor skills and so on and so forth. Right? So the children come in from the beginning of the year, and they are taught that one activity, once one activity is done, they are able to predict what the next activity is. I also want to take this time to explain to everybody the concept behind security and order that we are mentioning here now in the second sentence, right? Remember that even though there are telltale signs of when that activity is finished, the next activity is going to happen, we also like to do something that we call warning bells, right? So when that warning bell goes or that whistle goes, then, or that song plays, for example, then the children know that they need to start packing up the activity that they are currently busy with. Because when the bell rings for the final time or the whistle blows for the final time, then I need to change over and go to the next activity after that. So that's a very important point. I will need everybody to note down. All right. So you cannot just come and say, yeah, the bell is ringing, it's finished now, go to the next corner. What happens to the mess that the child has made there? The child must be given time to tidy up his mess, to put it back like how he found it, because another person is going to come and use that activity now. All right, so it just adds into courtesy, it adds into pride in leaving something the way that you found it. If you empty something, then you refill it before you go off to the next activity, and so on and so forth. All right. Then thirdly, we say children know what happens next and they can prepare themselves about that predictability. And then we say that children's needs are prioritized, including those with special needs. Teachers can prepare for unexpected guests and weather conditions, and daily programs promotes independence in children. All right. So basically, these are things that you need to keep in the back of your mind also when you are designing your daily program. Okay. So you will see also now here in South Africa, we are in winter months and it's really very cold. So, for example, what we would normally do in outdoor play, we find a way of doing it indoors. If you are fortunate to have a school that maybe has a large indoor area, a hall or some building or a room that is left open or complete, then you rather choose to go and do those outdoor activities in that hall or in that room because it is bitterly cold at this moment in time. All right. And then also, daily programs promotes independence in children. I always tell my teachers, no matter how long it takes for that child to learn the skill, you are doing that child a favor and you are doing yourself a favor as well. Because imagine how crazy your life would be if you have to run around and do things for children yourself because they're taking too long. Let them take as long as they need. They're going to keep on doing it and eventually they're going to master that skill and they become independent and you have less work. Everybody wins. All right. So I want us to keep that in mind as well, especially in the first term of the year when you are just getting children or when you get a new child during the year, in the middle of the year. Rather let that child learn slowly, but he masters that art of that thing that he's supposed to be doing and he's able to do it for himself. Thus, not only gives the child confidence, it builds the independence and it gives us lighter work. All right, we go now on to our next slide. And we ask Agnes to read that slide for us. Agnes, are you there?
I'm here. Can you hear me?
Yes, I
I'm
can hear
here.
you. How are you today,
Okay.
Agnes?
I'm okay.
All righty. You first up. You may read.
Just tired. Okay. Planning a daily program. It should consider children's physical needs, such as their hygienic needs, they need to rest, they need to be active, their nutritional needs.
I can hear baby also there by you. Is it your own
Sorry.
baby?
Yes, sorry.
No, it's fine.
Okay, but
No. Don't say sorry. It's fine. This is what we do. This is what we do. Small people, they make the world go round for us now. All right. So
Yeah.
when you look at this, Agnes, tell me, on the physical needs that they mention here, hygienic, rest, active, nutritional. What one would you choose to speak a little about on if I said you have 5 sentences?
5 sentences. I would speak on they need to be active. So active is
Go for it.
okay. So they need to be active, meaning not always giving them activities that they need to do at the table. So I would rather work on activities where they would have to be active in doing that activity. For instance, if say you want them to identify shapes, right? No, so instead of them sitting by the table and say color in a triangle or color in a square, you would then ask them, go in the class and point to where you see something that is a triangle or something that is a shape. So that is keeping them active.
Awesome.
Yeah. And
awesome. I like
yeah.
that. I like that very much. Tell me, are you currently at a school or a ECD
Yes,
center?
I'm at an ECD center, but I'm currently just working with the
All right,
babies.
now. All right. Can I ask you a personal question quickly?
Sure.
Are you from Cape Town?
Yes, I am.
Okay, I can hear.
Okay. Yes, I am.
Okay.
Accent is
Thanks,
thick.
Agnes.
Okay.
All right. That was very well done, Agnes. Speaking about the need to be active, children have so much energy. It's unbelievable, right? So if you can get them to do, as Agnes said, physically move around and learn the same concept instead of just having them seated at the table the whole time, you are actually taking care of a physical need that the child has. They are busy the whole day, every day. All right. I'll be reading the next slide now, which is educational needs and the teacher's needs. After me, let's see who's on this class register. Judy. After me, we'll ask Judy to read for us the next slide. All right. So, educational needs. Daily programs should prioritize development in their growth and development schedules. Number 3, we speak about teachers' needs, and we say they need for tea time and breaks. They need to write down their plans and attendance registers, and teachers need time to observe individual children and record their findings. Activities included in daily programs. Free play activities are things like fantasy play, the building corner, and the art and science experiment corner. All right. So if I have to sum up what this slide is saying here to us is that the most important thing that I feel out of here is the teacher's needs, which many of our schools neglect. All right. You are somehow supposed to be able to go through the whole day with 35 busybodies running up and down, and you don't even have time to grab a bite or have a cup of coffee or anything like that. So what we do is we would then, when it is playtime, we all gather together and we say 1 or 2 of the teachers go and have a break and we will watch your classes for you. In about 15-20 minutes after you had your sandwich and your cup of tea or your cigarette, if that's what tickles your fancy, then you come back and then we swap out and we go and have a break as well. All in all, it's about a half an hour to 40 minutes that we have this break. But the important thing is that the children must not be left unsupervised. So we can't all go at the same time for break. We take turns and we swap, right? And then another thing they speak about here in the slide is the teachers must have time to write down their daily plans, fix their attendance registers, and do observation on children and so on and so forth. Now, many schools are aware of this, and what they actually do is they say even though school dismisses at 2 o'clock or 1 o'clock, the teachers have to compulsory stay behind for another hour because that allows them time to complete their preps for the following day and set up the equipment and their play and so on and so forth. If you are clever, you can do that a little bit earlier, or you can do that as you go along in the day, and you score yourself an extra hour of just doing small, pretty touches in your class, and so on and so forth. All right, we go now to our next slide, and we're going to ask Juby to read for us the slide.
Okay, group
Hi,
time
Juby, are you there?
Yeah, can you hear me? Can you hear
Yes,
me?
I can hear you. How are you?
Good, and you?
I'm good, thank you. You can go ahead.
Okay. Group time activity, movement, music, story time, routine times activity, wash times, rest time, and meal times.
All right. What do you think this slide is trying to tell us, Judy?
I think it's trying to tell us that the kids need some kind of routine so that they know what's coming next, and they can be prepared for whatever is expected of them.
100%, 100%. And like we said in the beginning of this session, children are able to predict what comes next because it becomes a pattern for them. And this makes them feel safe. It makes them feel secured. And the other important thing that we said, that there must be an alarm bell or something of a sort, a whistle or a song that gets played that tells you that in the next 5 minutes, this activity is going to end and you need to start tidying up. Anything you want to add to that, Judy?
No, I think it's good. It's pretty clear.
Yeah. All right. Thanks, Judy. All right. We go on to our next slide now, guys. And this is arrival times. And this is basically something that many schools unfortunately overlook, especially in the ECT world. And it could save us so much trouble. All right. I'm going to read arrival times. And then after me, the next slide is going to be departure and hygiene. That one I'm going to ask Shumi Rai to read for us. All right. Okay, so with regards to arrival times, we say there needs to be enough time to meet and greet each child. Teachers might also need to talk to their family member, and that could be anything regarding the child's behavior that is a little bit um, abnormal, or just checking in with the child. There was a funeral in the family, checking in with the family, acknowledging their loss, or whatever the case may be. And thirdly, we say arrival times may also be when teachers check for the following signs. When you're greeting that child, you're shaking that child's hand with your right hand. I always say your left hand, you put it on the child's forehead so you are able to ascertain what the fever of that child is, if it's normal or abnormal. All right. Now, a lot of people don't appreciate being touched, but small children are very comfortable with you just patting them on the head or touching their forehead like that. But due to the coronavirus that was around, many of us now have access to all the memorabilia of corona, and that is stuff like thermometers that can read the temperature. And at this time, I would say that you also put the sanitizer bottle there for the children to sanitize their hands before they come into the center. All right. You also then observe the child's face, hands, and whatever is apparent for any rashes, for any cuts, for any sores. And you will also at this time be able to see if the child is tired, or is having unusual irritating behavior, whatever the case may be, right? Arrival times in the ECD center is of utmost importance. So what we used to do at one school, the first school that I worked in the ECD center, was we had a big hall. And when the children come in the morning, there were two of us that were always standing at the entrance of that hall. And we would do this, shaking the hands and touching the forehead to feel the fever, vibe with the children. And we would do a little clap dance, hands with each other, high five, hit it low, around the head, down slow, all of those type of things, because you are trying to establish an excitement, a sense of enthusiasm for the child, for the day to go forward. Remember, we have children, unfortunately, in our centers who are going to be coming from homes where mommy and daddy was screaming and fighting last night, or in the car, or somebody died, or their dog got hurt, or whatever the case may be. You need to zone in on that, acknowledge that, and give them a little bit of joy and happiness to be in the center. Because if you don't, you're going to have a whole somber mood in your preschool, in your ECD center. Everybody is just crappy. Everybody is just moaning. Everybody is just crying the whole day, every day. And we don't want that. All right. So arrival times of utmost importance. We go now to our next slide. And we're going to ask Shumirai to read for us.
Okay. Hello, everyone.
Hi, Shumi.
How are you, Safia?
How are you doing? I'm good, thank you. How are you?
I'm well, thanks.
All right, Shumi, you can go ahead and read your slide.
Okay. So it says departure. Teachers need time to ensure that children's belongings are ready, and also use this time to go over their day with their family members. And we have toilet and wash times. Children should be taught to wash their hands before eating, after playing outside, after touching animals, when or during food preparations. And we have supporting children with special needs. They may need help with certain hygienic activities. They can talk to families about their systems at home that can use to make their environment more pleasant.
Excellent, excellent. Shumi,
Yes.
choose one sentence from here. In 5 sentences, you're going to just elaborate a little for us on it.
Okay. So I think I like the toilet and wash times. Okay.
Okay, go ahead.
So I work with the 2 to 5 years. So I have a schedule in my classroom that actually highlights or that points each child doing a different or handling a different job, if I can say that. So we have before eating, we have one that does the soap. So we call her or him the soap monitor. So whenever I say it's time to eat, they know. They run to the board and check who's doing the soap. Then they call the person, he's doing the soap. Then everybody lines up. Then they wash their hands. Then after that, they go and grab their food. Then after playing as well, there's some person who's doing the soap comes back again. Then they wash their soap, they wash their hands. Yeah. Then even after playing, they
I
all do
like
that.
that.
Yeah.
Nice, cute. I like that. All right. Thanks, Shumi.
You're welcome.
All right, and with that, we go into our next slide that I will be reading, cleaning teeth and mixed age groups. After that, we will ask Nyaratso to read the next slide. Okay, so I'm reading cleaning teeth. We say here that each child should have their own toothbrush. Children should be taught how to brush teeth properly, and children should be taught the importance of brushing their teeth and its benefits. So this would happen after meals. I'm going to be honest with you guys. I don't do this in my center. I found it to be a big mess. What we do is, because mouthwash is so expensive, we dilute toothpaste and we keep it in the same containers as the mouthwash, and each child gets a small, like a whiskey shot glass, and we throw the diluted mouthwash mixture in their shot glasses, and they go to the basin and they gargle with it after meals, and they wash their hands with the soap at the dispenser, and that's the end of it. Because with the toothbrushes, what we found many years ago was the toothbrushes aren't being stored hygienically, and it just becomes a whole issue where we have to get parents to either buy the little plastic containers that we can put the toothbrush in, and then the children forgot their toothbrush in the car, and then it's a long story, right? So from my personal side, I give you that tip where you can make a mouthwash where you dilute toothpaste in it. You can take like a whole tube of toothpaste and put it in a jug with some boiling water and just whisk it until everything is dissolved. Then you throw it into your little Listerine bottles and buy each child a shot glass. But remember, those shot glasses need to be washed after every use. It needs to be sterilized. Okay. Then with regards to the next topic, which is mixed age groups, we say mixing children by age is important because younger children can learn from their older peers. I see there's a little typo mistake there. And we also say that there needs to be enough range of activities to accommodate all ages. So this mixed age group activities usually happens at outside time, or it usually happens early in the morning when we have an assembly and everybody comes and we do our morning greeting or prayer or whatever the case may be. I don't like to encourage it very much because you often find that the grade R children will be bullying the 2 to 3 year olds, or the sibling is in a smaller class, so then that child from grade R keeps on going to that smaller class and fighting with those children because they said her brother is this and all those lot of stories. But there should be a healthy amount of it. I would say let that happen at break time or at playtime. All right, so we go now to our next person that's going to read. Nyaratso, are you there?
Hello,
Hi, how are you?
I'm good, thanks. How are you?
I'm good, my darling. You can go ahead and read.
All right, thank you. Team teaching. This means that work is delegated to ensure that the schedule is smooth as possible. One teacher sets things for breakfast while the other supervises them. During this time, the third teacher could set the preparation for the free play.
Okay, so basically, what they're trying to tell us in this slide is that the rest of the teachers in the ECD setting together with yourself always needs to be working together as a team. One will be, like I said earlier on, in order for the teachers to have a little coffee or a sandwich or something like that, just a break, the other teachers then come together and they supervise all the children. If you have a big school, if you have a big team, there comes a point in the daily program where somebody has to go and set out the plates for eating, because eating happens at that school. Somebody needs to be by the toilet during break time and ensure that everybody doesn't, or rather everybody cleans up behind themselves and they don't mess. And you basically need to take on roles, different roles, on a weekly basis, I would say, in order to ensure that everybody gets a fair amount of the work distributed amongst the entire team. All right. So very, very important when you are in an ECD setting, especially, you need to be able to work in a team. You can be excellent by yourself, but I promise you the day will come when you will need your team members to step up for you. And if you don't step up for them when they needed you, it's very unlikely that they're going to step up for you. All right. A word of caution here. I would like to just advise everybody to understand that the people in your team that you are teaching with are not your friends. They are your colleagues. Try always to limit the amount of interaction that you have inside the school. Try to limit that only to work-related issues. Don't come there and tell them what your husband did, what your brother, what your mother, your grandfather, your whole family stuff. And tomorrow when you guys have an argument, then she goes and she takes out all that dirty washing of yours in front of everybody, right? So try to keep it professional and try to keep it only work-related. Try also in the same breath not to extend your relationships with people that you are teaching with after school hours. So there are things that we do like team building, and we go for a cause or an obstacle course, and we learn to trust each other, and we learn to have each other's best interests at heart, and so on and so forth. Also, with that being said, never ever allow a parent or a guardian or relative of any of the children to come and skinner by you about your colleagues. You put an end to that immediately. You refer them to the person that is in charge of you, and you tell them to go and list their complaints or their grievances with that person, or to put it in writing and send it to the correct authorities. You don't sit there and listen about nonsense about your colleagues. All right, very, very important. This breaks down team spirit. This breaks down confidence like you can't believe it. All right, so I would like us all to please take a note of professional behavior with regards to colleagues. All right, that was a mouthful. Are there any questions? You guys are quiet. Let me hear you say hello.
Hello, no question.
Hello. All good.
Okay, you're
Makes
alive.
sense. Yeah, we're fine.
Be good.
Yeah, okay, awesome. So we go on to our next slide, which is planning for the year. My throat is dry, so I'm going to start by the top again. Agnes, can you read the slide for us, planning for the year, please?
Yes, I'll do that. Can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you.
Okay. Planning for the year, long-term plan. The plan outlines all areas that will be covered for the whole year. Activity for toddlers, use various objects, pick out objects and name them, allow children to feel and touch objects, give a chance to take, I don't know, the pictures in front. Give children a chance to take what?
Take turns
Take
and
turns?
read the game. That's what it looks like. Yeah, I think just to take turns. That's what you will say.
Okay. Give children a chance to
All right.
take turns.
So, Sami, yeah, so just summarize for us quickly what they're saying here with regards to planning for the year.
So for the planning for the year is just using objects or different objects in different ways for the whole year.
And so tell me
Yeah.
also, Agnes, when they speak about
Yep.
toddlers, what age group are we speaking about here? When they say toddlers, what age group are they referring to?
Toddlers, I would say between 3 and 5.
No.
No,
Toddlers are usually in the ages of 2 and 4 years old.
24.
Yeah,
Okay.
2 and 3 years old. Yeah. So younger than that is the infants, and a little older than that
Mm.
is the next slide that we're
Oh,
going to be doing. And that is the activity for preschoolers. But
okay.
thank you for reading that one, Agnes.
Okay.
Pedro, next slide. Yeah, there we go. Okay, so I'm going to read this one and then let's go to the register. Judy will read the one after this one. All right. So planning according to themes. This is the things that we should keep in mind. The ages of the children, and that theme should be in a particular order. Allocate time to the topics and incorporate themes to long-term planning. All right. So what we're basically saying here is your themes for the year need to make sense. Now, remember, in the beginning, we said that you get a skeleton from the department or from your principal or your HOD, and they basically want you to put some leaves on that tree. They basically want you to put some muscle on that skeleton, some skin, or whatever the case may be, right? But we need to be, it needs to make sense, man, you know? So, for example, we are now in the winter months here. You can't be having a theme going on in your class about going to the beach. It doesn't make sense, all right? Or in December, you are having a theme about blizzards and tornadoes and wind and everything that is supposed to be what you call this winterish. Okay, so it needs to make sense, like for example according to the seasons. It needs to make sense according to their children's culture. You can't come here and say we're putting on our theme St. Patrick's Day. We don't keep St. Patrick's Day in South Africa. Wat praat jy? Ek weet nie. Okay, so it must make sense according to the season, according to the culture, according to the ethnicity of the group or the children that you are busy teaching. And if there's a variety of that in your class, you're going to touch lightly on 1, 2, 3 of those topics, and you're going to elaborate a little bit on that. All right. We also say there that you need to allocate time to the topics. You cannot be doing a theme for 2 months. You either do a theme for a week or for 2 weeks. That's it, and you go to the next theme. But all of this needs to be planned out ahead of time. Like we said, that's going to happen in the yearly plan. All right. Yeah, I think that is enough with regards to themes. Everybody gets the picture. We go to our next slide, which is medium-term planning, and we ask Judy. We ask Judy to read for us.
Planning according
Okay.
to
Go for it, Judy.
Okay. Planning according to themes. Teachers should consider the ages of children. Themes should be put in a particular order. What?
Sorry, dear. Pedro sleeping. Pedro, next slide.
I think, okay, medium-term planning. Okay.
Yeah, there we go.
These are essential for providing more detail for each term and month. Weekly and daily planning consists of exact details of the long-term plan. A teacher thinks of how they will meet the interest of children and those of the organization. Steps in planning. Consider developmental needs and interests. Do the activities meet organizational goals? Do the activities promote growth in children's lives? Example, cognitive, motor, language, and development.
All right. If you want to sum up that, what would you tell us they're basically trying to say?
Okay, they're basically saying that planning is very important. So it's not just weekly and daily planning, but it's also medium-term planning. So you basically have to have some kind of planning in place for the term, and then you break it down into weekly planning. And you have to take into consideration what will interest the children and what your outcome will be. So you have to work towards a goal of achieving whatever outcome you need on that theme. So if you're doing dinosaurs, what do you want the children to learn? What do you want the children to explore? What kind of artwork do you want them to do? Sensory, all of that. You have to take all of that into consideration, do a medium-term planning, and then drill down into the weekly planning.
I like that. I like that very much.
Thank
Yeah.
you.
So thanks for that, Judy. I think Judy has summed it up pretty well, that even though now usually the annual plan or the yearly plan, we sit with it from about October, November for January. We start working on the different things. Why we do this is because during the months leading up to the following year, we come across, you can be walking in the mall and you come across a guy that is getting rid of 200 sheets of newspaper, for example, and you were busy doing planning, and one of the things that you said you were going to do was a paper mache activity with the children. You would know then that you need to secure that goods in order to execute that thing, and you put it away. Everybody in your family will eventually come to understand the different reused, reduced, recyclable materials that can be used in the ECD center, and they would actually keep it for you. Stuff like eggshells, stuff like cool drink bottles, all of these things, we use them to make art, we use them to convey purpose and meaning to children's lives. I like to always give our children at the beginning of the year, we have something called a contact book, which is a small little hardcover, and it has a page in the beginning that tells you all about me, the child's name, the child's mother's number, the child's father's number, his address, and whatever not. And then as you want to get the homework done, you will write the instructions in that contact book with the date, and you will put the signature part at the bottom there for the person, for the parent to read. When you see there's no signatures, you know that the child is not giving the book. So guess what? Tomorrow morning, when you're standing there by the meet and greet everybody, you're going to call that parent one side. Obviously, you're not going to embarrass them in front of everybody. You're going to call that parent one side. You're going to have a small conversation with them. Listen, there's instructions in the contact book. I see it's not being signed, and the child is not coming the next day with the ice cream sticks or with the caster sugar or cone that we asked them to bring along for the activity. And I'm just a little bit concerned that it hasn't been brought to your attention. Can you set an alarm on your phone when you get home, that you check the book and give the child the thing that he needs for the activity the next day? It makes life so much more easy, right? So remember, parents are also people, and they get irritated with us, right? You don't want to be writing every day, the whole day, a whole lot of instructions and negativity in the book. So I like to put a weekly check in there on a Friday, so that the parent has time over Saturday and Sunday to go and buy whatever it is that he doesn't have. Try to make it things that they usually have in a household. Like I said, eggshells and, I don't know, beetroot peels or whatever the case may be, some mud, some shells or whatever. And so that the parent can plan ahead. Now, what happens is you writing it today, today is Dinsdag. You're writing it now in the book. When the parent comes home, all the shops are closed. It doesn't make sense. They're going to get irritated with you. They're going to think you onnodig, you lastig, all of those type of things. So my advice is, as part of your planning, that you also do the planning of the child and the available resources. You put it in a week or two before the time. All right, we go on to our next slide, which is individual needs. Let's see who's next up reading for us. Nyaratso. Nyaratso, you can unmute.
Hello. Yes.
Hi. Hi, are you there?
Yes, I'm here.
Okay. Okay, my dear, you can carry on.
Okay. Individual needs. The program should strive to meet development needs of children. Teachers should observe the various learning styles of children and find out what each child has mastered. Set objectives. These include encouraging children to know and appreciate their families, assisting children develop a sense of of pride in their families and culture, assisting children develop mathematical vocabulary, assisting children develop reasoning and logical thinking.
Okay. Okay, thanks, Nerato. So to summarize that, we're basically just saying that there are individual needs in a child that needs to be met, and there are objectives that need to be set. When you are doing an activity, guys, the CAPS document is your Bible, right? You then go online and you go, okay, I'm doing this theme, but I need to set an objective on the theme. So you look, you are going to be doing an egg now because you are busy with the theme on the farmyard, and the rooster and the hens are part of that farmyard family. You need to make the activities that you are going to do in that, whether it's regarding art or whether it's collecting eggs and painting the eggs nicely or whatever the case may be. You need to be able to identify things in that activity that align with the objectives that the department in their CAPS curriculum has set out for you. You don't just go and do art and do activities and do all of these type of things, not knowing what do you call this thing? Fine motor skills, what gross motor skills are being met, what cognitive skills are being met through the child doing that activity. All right. So it's going to take us some time to be able to master that. But as we keep on reading over it and keep on identifying different objectives that are being met in the activities that we are doing for the children, it becomes easier. All right, just trust me on this. It becomes easier. Like I said, it is your Bible. You go with that CAPS curriculum everywhere. And I promise you, you will start walking in malls and you will start identifying materials and start thinking up activities, and your family will just be tired of you for the first year. And after that, they'll actually come. I went to the mall now and I saw the guys throwing all these pizza boxes away. I think you can use it to store your cards or to store your activity, but it becomes a way of life. That's the only way you are going to enjoy teaching in an ECD setting, is when you absorb yourself completely in it. All right. We're going to do one more slide now, which is the plan free play activities. And then our next class, we will do early literacy. All right. So we say here about planning free play activities that it is to encourage children to talk about their homes and their families, and even, I would add to that, to talk to each other. All right, for children to develop their large and small muscles. All right, so the large ones is obviously going to involve the whole body, using the arms and the legs. Something, for example, like a hula hoop, something like climbing a ladder, would be the child developing his large motor skills. Something in which he uses small muscles would be where he's only using his hand. So that could be something as simple as a puzzle or tearing paper, whatever you call it. Please go and look at the different activities. We live in a world of technology. We cannot say we don't know what to do. And if we get tired of doing something, that means that we need to change up some stuff. So if you put an activity of scooping rice up for the child as a small motor skills or fine motor skills development, where he is using his fingers, his hand and his eye coordination. When you are tired of that activity and the children are also tired of that activity, you're going to color that rice. And when they're tired of the colored rice, you're going to put beans in there. And when they're tired of the beans, you're going to put something bigger than beans in there, until the children have mastered this skill that you're trying to teach them, which would be the fine motor skills and the hand and eye coordination, the hand and the eyes working together to achieve an objective. All right. Then I will take the same example, hand and eye coordination, where you give the child a bat and he is then ponging and the ball, or the tennis ball rather, him and his friend are together. There's so much learning that could possibly happen through that interaction. So first of all, he's using his entire arm to swing the bat. So that is a large motor skill development activity. Second of all, he's gripping that bat with his hand. That is small motor skills. And then also we say he's using his eyes to see the ball coming, and he's using his hand to go in the direction of the ball coming. That is hand and eye coordination. His feet are moving as well. It is large motor skills being developed there. It's just up to us to read through this Bible of the CAPS curriculum and whatever else we find always, all the time, and our work will become easier. By avoiding it, like we avoided mathematics and science in school, it's not going to become easier. It just becomes a nightmare every week when you have to plan for the week ahead. All right. So we're going to be ending here for tonight, and our next class will start on early literacy. Are there any questions anybody would like to ask?
I'm fine.
Are you fine, Shumi?
Yes.
All right.
Yeah,
Agnes?
all good, thank you.
Yes,
Thanks,
I'm
Judy.
good. I'm good.
All right. Nyarato?
No, thank you. I'm okay.
Okay. Okay, you guys are superstars. Superstars. So that's all from me. Pedro?
Thank you so much, Sophia, for hosting the lovely class. Thank you for everyone who also attended this evening. Just take note that this topic that you have done this evening is always in the exam. In every exam since I've been working for Erudite, this is the same question that has been asked. And it's also a very heavy question. There's a lot of marks allocated to it. So please, when you receive the recording, please do save it, download it, and just watch it over and over until you really do grasp it. This lesson and also the next lesson coming up. Other than that, thank you so much, Sophia, for hosting such a lovely class. And we shall see
You're
everyone
welcome.
again for the next class.
Thank
Thank
you.
you,
All right.
guys.
Bye, everybody.
Thank you so much.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye.
Bye.